applause. Hey, you may or may not be familiar with this game. It's based on a very venerable British radio quiz show. The idea of the game is quite simply that the contestants are given, with no advance warning, a subject on which they have to speak for 1 minute without repeating themselves, without deviating from the subject on the card, and without hesitating. The only thing that they're allowed to repeat is the actual subject that they are given. And, you know, as you will see in due course, this is a game that goes very well with Corflu, where people tend to be all about the words. So we've got a star-studded cast here to play for you tonight, including multiple past winners, because over here on my right, you know, she triumphed in Vancouver a couple of years ago on her first ever attempt. I give you Jen Farey. And next to her, you know, he hasn't played this game for a long, long time because he hasn't been going to Corflu's. When was the last time that you played this and won?
Last time it was hit in the UK.
Yeah. Belfast.
Belfast.
Yeah, Corflu Belfast champion. Fan, you know, fan artist, fan writer, fan this, that, the other. Dave Hicks. And our third past champion, to my left here, who triumphed by the narrowest of margins in Las Vegas last year, after many attempts at, you know, at finally, you know, taking the crown, but he finally got it. Will he keep it? Who knows? Rich Coad. And then on the fourth person on the panel is the dark horse, the one who's not played it before, but it's, you know, someone who's got the sharp wits and the, you know, mastery of words that, you know, makes a good just a Minac competitor. It's that great artist. It's Brian Parker. So, without further ado, I'll jump into the game with the first subject. And Jen, since I introduced you first, you're going to get to go first. And would you speak, please, for 1 minute without hesitation, repetition, or deviation upon my to-do list, starting now.
My to-do list is enormous. When I get back from this trip, which was my very first out of where I live.
And Brian Parker challenges.
Hesitation.
You say one time.
Yeah, that was you know, a hesitation deluxe there. That's a, you know. So Brian, you know, you've scored your first ever point in just a Minac, and you've leapt into the early lead. And you have the subject of my to-do list with 50 seconds to go, starting now.
Okay, well, the first thing on my to-do list is don't die. Oh.
Hesitation.
Yeah, hesitation. Yeah, yes, it was very, very, very good and very true as far as it went, but it didn't go as far as it might have. Rich Coad, correct challenge. And you have 43 seconds with my to-do list, starting now.
My to-do list is too long to last mere 40.
Challenge. Who was
me.
Again? Who was it? Brian.
Brian, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the trouble with having a deaf quiz master. I can't tell whose buzzer is which. Brian, your challenge.
Hesitation.
Hesitation it was. And you get the subject back. You have 37 seconds starting now.
Okay, well, my to-do list goes on and on and on.
And Jen, this time it was Jen who got in first.
Yes.
Yes, yeah, you made the rookie mistake of, you know, repeating yourself immediately. So Jen, you get the subject back, and you have 32 seconds on my to-do list, starting now.
My to-do list after this long trip will first include doing laundry. That in my house means I have to take everything off of one machine and put it over into a different spot so that I can get to it because it's all in the garage. Then after that, I will be doing things such as putting away all of What?
And Dave Hicks is challenged.
Doing.
What?
Doing.
How many?
Right.
I didn't.
Did you
hear
repeat?
do-
Did you repeat doing, Jen? Do you accept that?
Doing the
Did you
laundry,
repeat doing, folks?
doing the thing.
Yes, I think someone in the audience says so, and that's good enough for me. So, Dave, you break your duck,
I guess I done did it.
and you have 5 seconds on my to-do list, starting now.
I've got a little list, and there'll none of them be missed. And on my people.
Yes, the unfortunate thing is I don't have a buzzer to stop them talking, but yeah, we will pretend that the whistle has just gone. And Dave Hicks was speaking as the whistle went, and that means, for those of you who aren't familiar with the rules, he gets a bonus point for being the one to complete the minute. So, at the end of round 1, Brian and Dave are the early leaders, but there's very little in it. You couldn't slide a crud sheet between all 4 of the contestants. So, without further ado, we go on to the second round. And this is one that I'm going to ask Dave Hicks to begin.
Oh,
Dave, would you speak for 1 minute without hesitation, repetition, or deviation upon fish lifters? Starting now.
I once wrote an article about getting. Oh, shit.
Rich Coad is challenged.
Your brain shut down.
Hesitation.
Yes, I think, yeah.
Later, yes.
Yes, he started to sort of get slower and slower until he entered the realms of hesitation. So, Rich, you have a correct challenge, and you take over the subject with 53 seconds on fish lifters, starting now.
Earlier, I said to Dave that one of the topics here would be things that Claire and Mark get up to. I did not realize at the time that this would be accurate. I thought I was making a joke. However,
Dave Hicks challenged.
No.
Oh, sorry, Nick.
Oh.
Jen.
Jen, either one is fine. One of the Fareys said.
What's the subject?
Yes, there was a teensy in there. So, yes, I'll give that a correct challenge, and you get the subject of
What
fish
was the
lifters. You went
That's what you got me on.
you wait. You wait, sorry.
I know.
So, Jen, you have 35 seconds on fish lifters, starting now.
Fish lifters starting now. Mark and Claire are the fish lifters that I know of. What?
Challenge?
Repetition of fish lifters.
You can say.
She is allowed to.
That is an incorrect challenge because, as I said at the start, the one thing that you are allowed to repeat is the subject on the card. So, so Jen gets a bonus point for the incorrect challenge and gets to keep the subject of fish lifters with 30 seconds to go, starting now.
Jen still doesn't know any other fish lifters. So can I talk about Mark and Claire? What?
Challenge from Dave Hicks.
Yes. Mark and Claire.
What? I just started over.
Yeah, no. If you have to go through the all of your different bouts at the topic without repeating, I'm afraid.
Okay, so even though we already went through a part and then I got buzzed incorrectly and then I started over,
Yep.
that means that even
does
though
not
I
reset.
said it a long time ago,
Your special pleading, I'm afraid. No. Them's the rules. I just enforce them.
all right.
So, Dave Hicks, that's a correct challenge. And you have 23 seconds on fish lifters, starting now.
Which brings me back to a convention report I wrote some time ago, which was entitled Fish Lifters Whistling Toothpaste, where people were talking about redundant devices nobody ever needed, which summarizes most of.
You said
Challenge?
bitch like 3 times.
I don't want to think that you might be partial here, Nick, but but on the other hand, yes, you are right. So there's a correct challenge for Jen. You have 5 seconds on fish lifters, starting now.
Fish lifters is becoming my very favorite subject of the evening.
Yes, and well, it might be because you've just scored an extra point for speaking as the whistle went, and you now have the lead. So, yeah, but will you be able to keep it? We don't know. We shall soon find out. And Rich Coad, would you begin the next round, please? And your subject to speak for 1 minute upon is The Lord of the Rings, starting now. You've challenged yourself.
Hesitation. I'm invoking the Hodgson rule.
Wow.
I'm tempted to give you a point for sheer gall here, but you've still got 58 seconds on the Lord of the Rings to get through, matey. So you're not going to pull that trick again. Starting now.
The Lord of the Rings is an extremely long series of novels in which a hobbit, which is a small kind of like human.
Brian Parker challenges.
Hesitation.
Yep, the hobbits sort of trailed off into into the depths of Moria and was never seen again. Brian Parker, you get the subject of The Lord of the Rings with 47 seconds, starting now.
Okay. The Lord of the Rings, a book, a film, several films. Oh, shit. I don't know.
But you challenged yourself.
Right, now, Brian Parker has challenged himself. However,
For repetition.
he has challenged himself incorrectly because he said a film, several films, plural. He did not repeat himself,
Carry on.
so he doesn't get a point. But on the other hand, he doesn't lose the subject either. So, Brian Parker, you have 40 seconds on The Lord of the Rings, starting now.
I first read The Lord of the Rings when I was a child, and totally enthralled me. Still does. The films,
I think there was a hesitation there.
yeah, all right.
Question from the audience? Yeah? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that is interesting.
I'm challenging him because he used films twice.
All right, I'll throw this one to the audience. Do we think that Brian should get a point for being? Do we think that he should be denied a point for trying to fiddle the system?
Oh,
Now I've completely lost track of what was
I guess
Rich.
just split the difference.
Did you who just challenged who
Give it to
and
Jim.
why?
I'm challenging because he was allowed to get away with film and films, but then he said films a second time.
Okay, I'll take that's good enough for me. A point to Dave Hicks, and you have the subject with 29 seconds starting now.
Oh, God, it goes on for a long time.
think
I
Jen was
really-
first on that one.
mostly because it sounded to me as if what you said was, I didn't hear any words.
I think he was
But
doing
that's
he was doing an orc impression.
20% of the Lord of the Rings.
Yep, that's a point to you, Jen. You have 27 seconds on Lord of the Rings starting now.
The Lord of the Rings films were done by Peter Jackson in Hobbiton, which they created in New Zealand, and it was still available to be visited by tourists for quite a while. I believe it's still there. Stephen Colbert is a huge fan and had visited it on multiple occasions. I believe he also has his own, yeah. Peter, ooh, good.
Rich
I did
Coad
it.
challenged.
It was, believe, was mentioned more than once.
I did
believe.
it twice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Rich Coad, that was a correct challenge. You have half a second on the Lord of the Rings. Starting now. Nice try, Brian. No, I'm giving that one to Rich.
I think he got me.
I'm giving that one to Rich for speaking as the whistle went. Half a second isn't enough to isn't enough to even go through the appendices of the Lord of the Rings, is it? So
Do you want to do the Silmarillion next?
don't tempt me. So at the end of that round, Jen is in the lead by the merest fraction from Rich, and Dave and Brian are both snapping at their heels. It's still anybody's game. And Brian, your turn to begin the subject. And I expect great things from you as you're an artist. Would you speak for 1 minute without hesitation, repetition, or deviation on the colour wheel? Starting now.
Jesus. The colour wheel, an ancient device which is used to
Who went boing? Was it you?
I went boing.
Yep, Dave went boing. And
Dave
I'm
went
guessing
boing.
that was. What was the challenge?
Well, he hesitated.
Yes, he hesitated. Just say it. You don't
Sorry,
have to
sorry, I
overthink it.
actually forgot. In
Did you?
the emotional intensity of actually pressing the button, I forgot what
Right,
the
okay.
challenge was.
So that's correct challenge from
This
Dave
being
Hicks.
So,
And the subject passes from one artist to another, appropriately enough. Dave Hicks, you have 53 seconds on the colour wheel, starting now.
right, it starts with purple, and opposite purple is orange. And I've just fucked up there because opposite that colour is
Deviation.
yellow.
Yeah, deviation. Yeah, he said he fucked up. That sounds like an ambition of deviation to me. So point to Brian for a correct challenge.
Stop. The host is not allowed to intervene. Someone has to actually challenge me before I can be interrupted. And the clock should still be running.
He must. I heard, yeah.
All right.
So yeah, it was a completely kosher challenge, and Brian Parker gets the subject once again. 42 seconds on the colour wheel, starting now.
Okay, but back to the crap subject of colour wheel, which is a device used by artists to mix colours.
Yes.
Color wheel to mix colors, but that's two different words, which you said
And
before.
yeah, and colour wheel is actually already on the card anyway, so that's an incorrect challenge.
All right.
Brian gets a point for
I'm
that incorrect challenge,
self-correcting.
and he has 32 seconds on the colour wheel, starting now.
Okay, I can't repeat what I've already said, and there's nothing else to say about colour wheels, as they're extremely boring objects.
I think there was a hesitation there.
Yes, he was pretty much running out of steam, I think. So, Rich, not an artist as far as I know, but can you manage 19 seconds on the colour wheel, starting now?
Color wheels are things that I know nothing at all about, but I imagine that they are something which it looks circular and involves.
Challenge from Ken.
Repetition, something twice. You're something.
You're sharp today. You get the subject back with 10 seconds on the colour wheel. Actually, no, it's your first bite at the subject, isn't it?
Yes.
Starting now.
Color wheels are beautiful things full of many different pigments that we can imagine in a round. What? I'm not stopping.
Dave's challenge.
Just imagine instead of
I
imagine.
said we can imagine. It's not my fault you didn't hear what I said. I said that we can imagine. Imagine.
Imagine. Okay. Yes, yeah. Have a point. Yes.
Yeah, it sounds like an incorrect challenge to me, so a point to Jen. And
That
you
makes it-
have half a second on the colour wheel, starting now.
I love color wheels.
Jen gets a point for speaking as the whistle went. She extends her lead. Second place is just ahead of Brian and Dave, is Rich Coad, and they've all had one crack at starting the subject, so we're going to go back to the end of the line. We're going to return to Jen.
Uh-oh.
And Jen, would you speak for 1 minute, please, without hesitation, repetition, or deviation on the subject of pesto, starting now.
I can't stand pesto. It is an Italian taste. I don't know what it's made of. Some kind of chopped up green things that you put on pasta. You can use it in many different recipes, but it's never been something that has appealed to me. So I don't have any recipes for pesto.
Recipes.
Recipes, yeah.
Did I use recipes?
I'm afraid I think you did. So,
Fair.
correct challenge to Brian
I lost
Parker.
track.
Yep, I think, you've got nearly halfway through there. That's the fastest, best run we've had so far. But Brian Parker has 29 seconds on pesto, starting now.
I'm a bit of a foodie, and I discovered pesto back in the 60s, I believe. And I bought many jars.
Challenge there. Dave? Was it you?
I had a hesitation.
No.
It was a no.
It was
was a no.
Yeah, I think he did.
I mean,
you know,
if we're buzzing us, it was a no.
yeah. So point to Jan.
Hers, not us.
Say what?
I thought it was hers, not us.
It's us. It's It's
I have her.
oh.
Well, you know, you can hesitate as much as you want as long as no one buzzes you, but you always take that chance. So, Jen, you have 20 seconds on pesto starting now.
Back to the pesto, which never enters my kitchen. I do believe that Nick enjoys a good pesto.
And that was a challenge from Dave.
Deviation. Pesto never enters her kitchen.
It's about pesto.
Yes, which never enters your kitchen.
Yeah,
So
pesto.
how can it be relevant to your?
Well,
Yeah, I think we're being.
it's not in my kitchen. This is all
Yeah.
that I know.
So
about
how
pesto.
can you talk about it?
Because I can tell you what I don't know about pesto.
No, yeah, I mean,
I'm willing to
Robert
pause
Heinlein has never entered my kitchen. You
I'm
wouldn't stop me
willing to
talking about Robert
concede-
Heinlein.
at this point that if people aren't allowed to talk about what they don't know about on the convention panel, then science fiction fandom is dead.
Well, RIP then, because Jen, you have the subject with 12 seconds to go, starting now.
I would like to try and speak about pesto in science fiction and where it may or may not have shown what?
Challenge.
May.
May or may not. Yes,
That's
that challenge is far more valid. And furthermore, it gives Dave Hicks the subject with 2 seconds on pesto, starting now.
Walnuts are an old.
There was a hesitation there at the beginning.
Walnuts as fast as I could.
Yeah. So, Rich Coad, you have half a second on pesto, starting now.
Everything Jen knows about pesto is wrong.
Right, well, Rich was speaking as the table was stumped. He gets a point. He's still in second place behind Jen. Brian and Dave level pegging behind them. And after I've reset the clock, it's time to go back to Dave. And
Hang on.
Dave wants a drink. I want a drink.
So, right.
Dave Hicks, would you speak for 1 minute without hesitation, repetition, or deviation on the subject of It's a Knockout? Starting now.
Bloody hell.
Stuart Hall was a very famous presenter in 1970s British television, of whom we are not allowed to talk about now, owing to certain.
Because you've been buzzed. Brian Parker buzzed you because you started off by declaiming Graham Hall. No, sorry,
No, I said-
Stuart Hall. And then you paused. And that's what you're not allowed to do, not even for emphasis. So Brian Parker gets a point and has 56 seconds on It's a Knockout, starting now.
It's a Knockout is a very old British comedy competition, which. Oh, God almighty.
I've said
So good at it.
Yeah, he did. So
Doesn't matter.
You're going to get me for repetition on this one, but I'm going to go for it.
Repetition.
I haven't actually started the round yet. Thank you for that impromptu entertainment, Dave. You have 47 seconds. You have 47 seconds on It's a Knockout, starting now.
Hang on, which of us does?
You.
You do.
Oh, fuck. Right. Okay. I used to work for a local government official, which actually had some silverware with the oh, shit.
Rich Coad.
This sounds like deviation.
Oh, right.
No, it would have led up to with this.
It was everything.
It's a knockout presenter, but yes, carry on.
Okay, if you see the
No,
floor,
yeah.
okay, then Rich Coad, you have 35 seconds on It's a Knockout, starting now.
It's a Knockout was a British comedic television show, which I absolutely know nothing about.
Repetition, you're repeating me.
Oh, that's fine. I just can't repeat myself.
No.
No, you You are actually, yeah, cruel and tough though this game is, you are allowed to use words that your opponents have used. So that's a incorrect challenge and a point to Rich, and you have the subject with 29 seconds on It's a Knockout, starting now.
I somehow don't suspect that Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson,
Yeah. There was indeed an error on. You couldn't think
Oh,
of
you're-
more than
you're
two,
still going.
two boxes, and I just fucked up punching the clock. Okay, I'm going to say that you've got 26 seconds on It's a Knockout, Jen, starting now.
It's a Knockout was a comedic British series that aired featuring boxers, I would like to say.
Dave Hicks is challenged.
Deviation.
Back in the day when we only had 3 television channels, so you had to watch It's a Knockout every bloody week. I can't recall a single goddamn boxing contest.
So what is the challenge?
Deviation.
Thank you. That
I-
wasn't difficult.
I challenge for
You
deviation.
talked about boxing, and there's, that's
it's called It's a Knockout. They have knockouts in boxing. It's fair. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Allison is right.
Alison Scott
think
got
I
the point
said
for being a
thought
pedant.
It was about boxing. I don't know what it's about. Oh, it's about boxing.
There is no room for pedantry and fandom. Oh, hang on a minute.
All right.
Okay, Jen, you've got 6 seconds on It's a Knockout. Kill it, starting now.
It's a Knockout was about
Coad
funny
got-
things.
He hesitated.
No, she bloody didn't.
At the beginning.
You have 4 seconds starting now.
It's a Knockout is probably my favorite comedic show ever.
Stop.
He did comedic again. Damn it.
Ah.
A second.
Well, with that extravagance there, Jen has extended her lead. And who have we got up next? We've got you, haven't we, Rich?
Oh, no, God. Dave, certainly. Did he start?
Yeah, I'm good.
No, Dave started with this. Didn't you start It's a Knockout, Dave?
It's a Knockout was Dave's.
Yeah. So, Rich Coad, it's your turn to entertain us. Would you speak for 1 minute without hesitation, repetition, or deviation on Pale Ale, starting now?
Oh, I didn't mean to do that, but I did.
Rich Coad has challenged himself by accident.
Getting overexcited here.
Yeah, I think so. So I'm not giving you the point for the incorrect challenge, but you can do another 58 seconds on Pale Ale, starting now.
A pale ale is right in front of me and it's quite tasty. It's full of effervescence.
Challenge?
He paused.
Yes, he did. So, Dave, you get a point. You get the subject. 53
Oh,
seconds on
sorry.
Pale Ale, starting now.
So full of fucking fuzzy.
Challenge.
Hesitation.
Yeah, you slowed down awfully there. So, Brian.
I just paced myself.
Well, yeah, if you can do it like Kenneth Williams without actually stopping talking, then good luck to you. But no one's doing that. Brian Parker, 48 seconds on Pale Ale, starting now.
Pale ale is one of the 3 basic ales produced in Britain: bitter, mild, and pale ale. They're all lovely. We all love beer. Oh,
Yes, we have. That self-evident truth was so profound that it shocked him into silence. So that was, I think, Rich got in with the challenge first, yes?
I believe so.
So you get 35 seconds on Pale Ale, starting now.
Pale ale is the stuff that is neither mild nor bitter, but is in its own class and can be drunk smoothly and get you inebriated, which is a glorious thing to have happen sometimes, unless you go too far, in which case you fall over and hurt yourself, which is not such a good thing. But the pale ale is not so strong that this happens very frequently, and I am looking at the clock and it's going too slowly. Come on, clock.
I just thought Witch was doing a really good job there, so I'd like to give him an extra point.
I'm off by 6/100ths of a second.
Yes, as Rich has just pointed out, the stopwatch reads 59.94. So, Rich, give us 0.06 of a second on pale ale starting now.
It makes you burp.
The end. So, Rich was speaking as the whistle went, and the points that he accumulated during that round have brought him into equal first place with Jen. So, how about that? Code. So we return now to Brian. And Brian, would you speak for 1 minute, please, without hesitation, repetition, or deviation upon scrambled eggs, starting now?
I just thought I'd try Richie's tactic and everything.
Look, if people keep challenging themselves, I'm going to take your buzzers away. You have 58 seconds starting now.
Okay. Scrambled eggs or scrambled eggs. You take eggs, you mix them with a fork, and end up with scrambled eggs. And I can say scrambled eggs as many times as I wish, because that's the topic on the card.
Yes, but unfortunately, you can only get away with that for so long. Rich Coad has a correct challenge, and with 36 seconds on scrambled eggs, starting now.
Scrambled Eggs was the original working title of the song Yesterday by Lennon and McCartney, who recorded it as the Beatles. And
Hesitation. And
yeah.
Okay.
the hesitation.
All right, then. So we'll give Jen a point. Jen gets the subject of scrambled eggs with 35 seconds starting now.
every morning I have 2 scrambled eggs for breakfast. This is something that my lovely husband could tell you for sure is fact. This is
Challenge for
about the
Dave?
fucking scrambled eggs.
Deviation.
No, it's about the scrambled eggs.
Deviation. She said lovely husband.
Ah!
Yes, absolutely. Fucking. Pause. Nick, absolutely.
You do realise, of course, that just because she said that her lovely husband made scrambled eggs, that may imply that she's got a second husband who isn't so lovely and doesn't make scrambled eggs.
I have
No,
one
I'm
husband.
going to rule in favour of Jen on that one. So, 26 seconds on scrambled eggs, starting now.
There are many different ways to make scrambled eggs. Usually I put cheese in mine. Some people do not like that and are very Allison was very distracted.
Alison doesn't have a buzzer, and he's if you really want Alison, you
I
can come and
put
play this game
eggs
next year.
and cheese together.
Rich, who challenged?
I thought it was hesitation there.
Yes, whether
was
it's deviation
because
to
of
put cheese in
Allison.
scrambled eggs or not will remain a question that this.
Do you wear the cheese,
pronounce
or
upon.
does the cheese wear you?
Rich Coad, you have 12 seconds on scrambled eggs, starting now.
Scrambled eggs mixed with a bit of milk comes out really nicely.
Challenge from.
He's hesitating like the devil there.
Yeah, he did fall over his own feet a bit
I'm not
there.
talking about deviled eggs.
So, Dave Hicks, scrambled eggs, 7 seconds, starting now.
A glass bowl over a boiling hot water. Oh,
I heard hot twice there.
Yeah, he stumbled over himself and repeated himself. So
before we continue, can I just explain that this was several of us wandered into a bar that we thought this was hotel. This was this hotel, but it turned out to be actually the next bar up. So we've all had an extra drink that we didn't think we were going to have.
be that as it may, you have 1.5 seconds, Rich Coad, starting now.
Scrambled eggs and beer do not mix very well.
Well, with that round on scrambled eggs, Rich has now regained the lead. But he's only just ahead of Jen, who's only just ahead of Dave, and Brian is still only just behind him. So all to play for.
Bless you.
Oh, no.
And now now we're halfway through. So are we all still having fun? That's enough for me, right? Jen, back to you. Will you speak for 1 minute, please, without hesitation, repetition, or deviation upon giraffes? Starting now.
Giraffes. Claire and I went to the London Zoo and we saw a giraffe. Very long neck. Beautiful, majestic animal. Walking around, wondering, what are you doing over there? Looking from side to side, checking us out. It was full of spots. It was long of leg.
Was.
Was.
And long.
Also looking from side to side, but no one caught that one.
Yeah.
Yes, well, you're a
That's
clever
true.
clogs, Alison. Dave Hicks finally spotted one. He gets the subject of giraffes with 35 seconds to go, starting now.
So, how do elephants hide in cherry trees? The answer is they paint their balls red.
I think from
Oh,
Jen.
that is such a deviation. Elephants in cherry trees?
Giraffes are going to come up
I'm
in a
going to
minute.
decline that challenge because I've heard this joke before and I know how it relates to the subject of the card. So, Dave, you get
With the
28 seconds to continue that joke, starting now.
with the result that what is the loudest noise in the forest? It is giraffes eating cherries. Yes, I know I've just repeated cherries, so now someone pick it up.
Which code challenge is?
Yes, the repetition.
You didn't actually repeat yourself until you caught yourself. You said cherry tree and then cherries.
Yes.
But too bad. Rich has got you now. And Rich has 17 seconds on giraffes, starting now.
Giraffes are something that should be kept burning. This is according to both John Sladek and, damn it.
Jen.
Uh,
Yeah. Okay, I would love to hear anything about John Sladek or Sladek, however you pronounce. It's interesting that you pronounce it Sladek. I always used to pronounce it that way, but then
I've
then
never
I
been
found
sure,
then I found fandom and everyone pronounced it Sladek. So,
but they're British.
Anywho, you have 9 seconds on giraffes, Jen, starting now.
Giraffes are one of my favorite mammals in the zoo. They are very tall.
Challenge.
Repeated zoo.
Yes, she did.
Yes. We
bet you
did
think you went
earlier.
Six.
What a memory this man has. Well, it was less than a minute ago by definition. Rich Coad, you have the subject back. 3 seconds on giraffes, starting now.
Unlike giraffes, I have a fine memory, which is more like an elephant.
Well, Rich Coad was speaking when I hit the table, and he has extended his lead now. So, you folks need to pull your socks up a little bit. But now's your chance, Dave, because you go next. And would you?
What, me?
Oh,
Dave Hicks, would you speak for 1 minute without hesitation, repetition, or deviation on the subject of a chocolate teapot, starting now?
I think he's been stunned into silence.
Yeah, that was a full 2.5 seconds of hesitation there. So what's 1 minus 2.5? That's 57.5 seconds to Rich Coad on a chocolate teapot, starting now.
I bet I could beat him with that hesitation.
Brian Parker, yes.
Hesitation.
Yep, Brian Parker, you get the point. You have 54 seconds on a chocolate teapot, starting
I am
now.
never going to be able to manage 54 seconds, but I will give it a go. A chocolate teapot is an entirely useless thing unless you like chocolate, when you can melt it with hot water and eat it. This is a wonderful thing, and I personally do this every Friday night for 2 or 3 seconds, and then I start again with another chocolate teapot and melt that. Yeah, I know.
I think you were hesitating there.
Yes, you also repeated seconds, but got away with it.
Yeah.
So, Rich, you get the subject back. 26 seconds on the chocolate teapot starting now.
Chocolate teapot and hot water turns into cocoa, which
Bing.
Hesitation.
Yep, I think it was. So point to Jan there. And you get the subject. 20 seconds on the chocolate teapot starting now.
I very much love chocolate, but have never thought about it being made into a teapot, which if it's warm water would melt the thing that it's made of. So that is something that would not be useful in many ways or for very long. But that is
Well done. Yeah. Jen, you were speaking at the minute mark, so you get a point for that. And you're pulling back up on Rich there, so keep up the good work. And speaking of whom, it is now Rich's turn to begin. And Rich, would you speak for 1 minute, please, without hesitation, repetition, or deviation upon the Elgin marbles, starting now.
the Elgin marbles were stolen by the British and are now residing in the British Museum. Melina McCurry.
British, twice.
British.
Yes.
Very alert there. Well done, Brian. Point to you. And you get the subject with 53 seconds on the Elgin marbles, starting now.
I really must stop buzzing in so bloody early, as now I have to talk for an inordinately long period of time. However, back to the
Deviation.
Yeah, I mean, complaining about how difficult it is to talk about the subject is...
back to the Elgin.
Yeah. I'm going to give that as a correct challenge.
How long do you get to lead up?
Yeah, that is what the...
He got that full joke to lead up to a giraffe. I'm sorry. I would let Brian get to his point, but that's just me.
Okay, audience, do we think Brian should be allowed to get to his point? Okay.
Good.
Brian, you get a point for getting the audience on your side, and your reward is that you have to talk for 43 more seconds on the Elgin marbles, starting now.
Okay, interestingly enough, the Elgin marbles are made of marble. And as Rich so rightly told us, they come from Greece. And in fact, they were a frieze around the Acropolis. That may or may not be. Oh,
You gave it away.
Yeah,
Might have let you get away with that.
that was a real challenge from Rich at that time. So you have 26 seconds on the Elgin marbles, starting now.
Melina McCurry in the 1970s was the Minister of Culture in Greece and tried desperately to recover the Elgin marbles for her country. However, the UK government...
got to be hesitation.
Yeah, there was an error in there. So Brian Parker,
For harsh.
you get the subject back with 8 seconds on the Elgin marbles, starting now.
Okay, the Elgin marbles, as we were previously just.
I thought there was a hesitation there. Yeah.
Okay,
Come on.
back to Rich Coad with 4 seconds on the Elgin marbles, starting now.
They're wonderful marbles. They're full of...
Yeah, they're there. 1.5
What was it,
seconds,
contraction
Jen.
and a not contraction?
No, they are. They are.
There, and they are.
No,
It was there.
I think Jen has the right of it. Jen, you have 1.5 seconds on the Elgin marbles, starting now.
These are my very favorite marbles to talk about.
Right.
I thought it was an incorrect challenge.
Well, after that entertaining round,
I think she's showing favor.
Rich is still leading from Jen, but Brian has pulled himself up off the bottom of the charts and is now sort of jostling with position with Dave. And Brian, we go to you to start the next round. Brian Parker, would you speak to us, please? Now, this could be the pop group. It could be sexual stuff. It could be what stops your washing machine pipes working. Would you speak for 1 minute on the subject of Kinks, starting now?
As you've said, it could be music. The Kinks were a group formed in the 60s, famous for many songs, including Waterloo Sunset and various others. Oh, that was an
Challenge
accident.
yourself again by accident. Yeah, bad dog, no point, but you've still got 47 seconds on kinks starting now.
Okay, kinks, as you said, again, could be sexual. There are many kinks available. You pick from a recipe of many, but I'm not.
Yes,
There's some hesitation there.
there was also many, many, many. So, Rich, you have 35 seconds on kinks starting now.
In addition to Waterloo Sunset, the Kinks recorded songs such as Well Respected Man. It's hard.
Subjects as well.
Was that a hesitation?
Hesitation.
Yes.
Hesitation.
So that subject reverts to Jen, who has 29 seconds on kinks starting now.
Can I go to the sexual kinks? That would be fun, but there are a lot of those. There's a kink that has to do with feet, which is kind of bizarre. There's one of the kinks has to do with wearing plaid.
Dave Hicks is challenged.
Kinks involving feet is perfectly normal and wholesome, and there's nothing bizarre about it. Challenge like deviation.
If you had ever seen my husband's feet, you would know why I said that.
I'm going to head this debate off at this point. I'm going to give Dave a point for sheer cheek. I'm going to leave the subject with Jen with 10 seconds starting now.
Oh, okay. Kinks. Well, we'll go back to the music now. So the Kinks are a group that I have heard some things about. I very much thank you. Because I really don't know much about the Kinks.
She's starting to climb back back against Rich. So all to play for still as we enter the final round of 4.
Oh God, there's more.
There's one more.
Yeah. So Jen, would you begin for the last time, speaking for 1 minute on The Time Machine, starting now?
The Time Machine is a movie that I watched with my mother a very long time ago. I cannot remember the man's name. It was an older movie. I'm not thinking about the one that had Guy Pearce in it. I'm thinking about the one with I'm just gonna, somebody buzz me because I'm lost.
Yeah, Rich, put her out of her misery.
What was his name?
Right. Rich has put Jen out of her misery, and
Thank you.
as his reward, he gets 38 seconds on The Time Machine, starting now.
The Time Machine was a novel by H.G. Wells, and there is an
Brian Parker challenges. That was yes.
Audience is going.
It was a hesitation. Brian got in first. Brian has 30 seconds on The Time Machine, starting now.
As Rich so rightly said, The Time Machine was a novel by H.G. Wells, and we spent the morning looking at H.G. Wells' rubbish in.
bit of hesitation there.
Well, yes, and how about that repetition of H.G. Wells, eh?
Yes.
But anyway, Rich, it was a correct challenge, even if it wasn't the one I would have made. So you have 19 seconds on The Time Machine, starting now.
In the pub, the Herbert George Wells, which is a Weatherspoon pub, there is a
Challenge.
Oh yeah.
Deviation. It was the Herbert Wells.
Well, and he
Oh,
said pub
Herbert
twice.
George Wells pub.
Yeah, but these people are they're such professionals. They scorn the easy
It
challenges.
was there.
No, it
It
wasn't.
was there on another plaque.
No,
You're expecting me, who was not on this outing, to be able to judge the correct name of a pub in Woking that I've never been
Where's
to.
Kevin Williams? Where's Kevin Williams? Which one is it?
no, it's not. It's just
is.
Herbert.
There
If
you go.
Alison Scott says this is a thing, what
Good
greater
Lord.
authority do you need?
I've done it.
Pub twice.
Right, thank you for slicing through this Gordian knot.
Thank you.
I'll give you a point out of sheer gratitude for that. At this point, I realize I've no idea how long we've got because I forgot to
I
press
think she's got
stop.
to do a minute 34. You got to make it count.
No, I think it was
backwards.
about 50. I'm going to say 15 seconds, starting now.
The Time Machine. What? No, I didn't know that we actually started because we.
You have to be quick on the draw, but come on.
There's hesitation and there's hesitation.
Ah.
No, the audience seem to be with Jen on this one, so I'm giving her a point for an incorrect challenge. And you have 14 seconds.
Are we starting now?
Starting now.
The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. A wonderful novel. A one-time, I'm not done with the word. I didn't say- a one-time thing,
Yes. She teetered on the brink. And
but I didn't say
indeed,
wonderful.
you laid a cunning trap for you laid a cunning trap for Dave Hicks.
Bad person.
I did.
Yes, yeah,
That
to
counts.
quote an old joke from I'm Sorry, I'll read that again. I shall lay a trap for Dave Hicks, and when he is in it, what shall I do? Shut your trap. So, Jen, you have 5 seconds on H.G. Wells starting now.
This is one of my favorite subjects to talk about. H.G. Wells. Thank you.
Just in time there, Jen was speaking as the table vibrated. Oh, hang on, I've lost count.
Are you still glad I married you?
No.
Okay.
So, with 3 rounds to go, Rich
Hang on.
leads Jen by 1 point.
Oh, it's too
Can he keep the lead?
Oh, yes,
We'll
yes,
soon
yes.
find out. But
For-
in the meantime,
For people who are watching this online, so we have to do this in the microphone.
Oh, yeah.
I was just asked. So are you still glad I married Nick?
That's what I said.
No.
I said no.
Dave Hicks, would you speak for 1 minute without hesitation, repetition, or deviation upon the subject of garlic? Starting now.
The flavor is
Education.
Yep, I'm going to give.
Stop it.
Oh, come on, for God's sake. I'm going to give Brian that point.
we got
I didn't get
allowed to
mine.
draw breath.
Well, you're already in the lead. Brian hasn't played this game before. He deserves a little margin, I think.
Challenge.
So, Brian, you have 57 seconds on garlic, starting now.
Garlic, a herb, a bulb, a plant. Very tasty, especially in spaghetti bolognese. I always use masses of garlic in my pasta.
And Rich Coad challenges there
Bit of hesitation.
in my ... Yeah. You have 35 seconds on garlic, Rich,
Lord.
starting now.
The Garlic Festival in Gilroy, California was a great place for garlic. They grew garlic throughout the area. And as you drove down the freeway to get south of San Jose and into Gilroy,
Repetition, Gilroy.
There was a
Yes.
repetition of Gilroy. Gilroy was here.
Gilroy was here.
Jen, you get a point. You get the subject of garlic for 20 seconds, starting now.
Garlic is useful if you have a vampire issue in your area and you need to ward them off. And you can wear a necklace of garlic that they do not like. There is a very pungent odor. The way that it looks and it shines in the moonlight.
Congratulations there. Jen was speaking. And with the point she gets for having spoken at the end of the round, she's now equal first with Rich. Yeah. And they're starting to pull away from Brian in third place and Dave in fourth. So 2 rounds to go. Rich, will you begin the first one of them for me? Would you speak for 1 minute, please, without hesitation, repetition, or deviation, upon the Church of the Subgenius, starting now?
Bob was the
Challenge from...
Why do I keep doing this?
Can I ask
Yeah,
what
he
the subject
hesitated,
is?
there's no doubt about it.
You're so
hang on.
4 seconds.
What was the subject? We missed it this end.
Subject is the Church of the Subgenius.
Thank you.
And Brian Parker has 55 seconds on it, starting now.
I have no idea what the Church of Subgenius is, so this is going to be rather difficult to talk about. But I'll give...
Challenge from...
Oh, you were hesitating there.
No.
I don't think he did. I don't think he did. You know, I'm going to give Brian a point and he must keep the subject with 47 seconds on the Church of the Subgenius, starting now.
Okay, well, he's buggered up my floor now. I mean, I'll have to think up totally imaginary things about this Church of the Subgenius. As I said earlier,
Challenge from Dave Hicks.
I would like to give him a point for being on the panel with just thinking up bullshit on the spot, because that's the epitome of Farey on stage on a science fiction convention.
There's no arguing with that. Dave Hicks, you get a
was that a
point and you
compliment?
have 37 seconds on the Church of the Subgenius, starting now.
What was the
No, I was giving him the point on the principle that this is utter bullshit that we talk about all the time. And I'm utterly stumped as to what the Church of the Subgenius is either. But however, and I think that,
there's a bit of hesitation there?
Yep.
well,
I think
yeah,
there was.
because that
So
was, I'm just
16,
giving someone else.
sort of like 18 seconds on the Church of the Subgenius with Rich Coad, starting now.
J.R. Bob Dobbs was the icon of the Church of Subgenius. J. Kinney was a high priest of the Church of Subgenius. Matt Householder put into a
Challenge
Good
from Brian
hesitation.
Parker. Yeah, you grabbed to a
just
bit of a
trying to
halt.
collect my thoughts.
So, Brian Parker, you know nothing about the subject of the Church of the Subgenius, but you only have 1 second to speak on it, starting now.
Okay, well, I'm pretty good at bullshit, so I'll keep it up.
Brian Parker was speaking at the end of that round. I think he deserves a round of applause for having, achieved that. He finishes the round in 3rd place, but he's still well behind Jen, and Jen is still 1 point behind Rich as we enter the very, very last round.
Oh God, there's not more, is there?
It's the very, very last round, and Brian Parker starts it. So, Brian, would you speak for 1 minute without hesitation, repetition, or deviation on the subject of sliding doors, starting now?
Okay, well, I think I'll start with an immediate hesitation.
Challenge from Jen. No.
Thank you.
Yes, that was a hesitation.
Hesitation?
So, Jen, you have,
You said you were going to do that, so
yes, he helpfully announced it in advance. Jen, you have 55 seconds on sliding doors, starting now.
sliding doors is the idea that you could be going in one direction and there could be multiple things that happen depending on which way you chose to go. So an alternate reality type of scenario where there is a new reality that springs forth.
And Dave Hicks' challenge.
Reality.
There was multiple realities, I'm
I
afraid.
love the reality.
Yep. So, Dave, you have 29 seconds on sliding doors, starting now.
Having challenged too early to obviously carry the subject all the way through, I do have to consider that I'm looking around in fandom, and it is a sliding door kind of culture. I'm looking at every single one of you and thinking, if I had only.
Oh,
Oh.
look, yes, I think he's right. Brian Parker, that was a correct
That was-
challenge. So, 11 seconds to go. Brian Parker, sliding doors, starting now.
Sliding doors can be quite useful. They allow you to get to your clothes.
And Rich Coad challenges.
Bit of hesitation there.
You accept that? Okay.
This
Very
is
well.
getting serious now.
With 6 seconds to go, Rich Coad on sliding doors, starting now.
Sliding doors may or may not have been a
Oh,
May. May.
was that you, Dave? Was it Jen?
Well,
I think
You have.
which one of us
There's
could
all-
win if we
But
got
who
the
goes
point?
first on may or may not? Jen, okay. Jen,
I think I did.
He's
I
prejudiced.
thought you did, but I want you to. So, Jen, you have 2.5 seconds on sliding doors, starting now.
There was a movie called Sliding Doors starring Gwyneth Paltrow.
There was indeed. Jen was speaking as the whistle went. She entered that round 1 point behind Rich Coad. She finishes it 1 point ahead of Rich Coad, who's ahead of Brian Parker and who in turn is ahead of Dave Hicks. So it's my very great pleasure to say that once again this year, the Corflu Just a Minac champion is Jen Farey. I have been Sandra Bond, and indeed I shall continue to be. And thank you all for coming and being such a helpful audience, even you, Alison. And I hope you'll... Now, it seems sadly unlikely that I'll be able to run Just a Minac next year. But yeah, there is always Zoom, I suppose, but we will consider options. But you can depend upon it that in one form or another, there will be another time when I get to say, welcome to Just a Minac. Thank you.
Joe, you have just not. Thank you.